Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NBA Draftkings slate on Friday, January 2nd. We got a lot to get into today. A nice 11-game slate with a ton of games, a ton of injuries that are important, and a ton of good plays. Before I do that, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me grow. Leave a comment, tell me who you think the best play of the day is. Turn on notification bell so you know when all my videos are available. And we got a live stream coming out tomorrow for college basketball in the morning, so you'll know when that goes live, so be sure to hit that notification bell as well. If you want to get more of my content, you can always subscribe to my Patreon. I'll put the link down below, and you're going to get a ton more content, including projections. So go ahead and check that out. But let's get into the plays. We're going to start with the injuries today. Wendell Carter is questionable. If he were to miss this game, I'd expect probably Daniel Gafford or Thaddeus Young to get the start, and maybe Lauri Markkanen just slots into the center. We'll really see. We haven't seen Wendell Carter being out with some of these other guys available yet this year, so I'm going to have to pay attention to the starting lineup for the Chicago Bulls. Fortunately, that is the first game tonight, so we will know before lock. But that is going to be an interesting key one. Christian Wood is out. John Wall is out for Houston, which pretty much means there's going to be two guys that I think are going to be super chalk, but great plays tonight. And those are DeMarcus Cousins and Victor Oladipo. Victor Oladipo should pick up all usage because now you don't have John Wall, Christian Wood, and James Harden. Those are, were the three highest usage guys. I know Victor Oladipo never played with Harden, but still, there's going to be a ton of usage to go around on his team. I think Eric Gordon picks up some as well. And then Christian Wood out, DeMarcus Cousins probably gets a start. And, DeMarcus Cousins is a great fantasy point per minute play. And when he's starting and getting starters minutes, he is going to be a great play. Michael Carter-Williams is questionable. I expect that just gives some extra minutes to Dwayne Bacon or James Ennis if he were to miss. Miles Turner is questionable. If he misses again, Domantas Sabonis will slot into the center spot, and Doug McDermott will start at the 4. Darius Garland is questionable. If he were to miss again, Colin Sexton is going to get a ton more usage, as will Cedi Osman. Jason Tatum is out for Boston, still with COVID. Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart pick up usage without him on the floor. DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish are both questionable for the Hawks. If both of them miss, I expect Kevin Huerter and Solomon Hill to pick up the start. If only one of those two miss, I expect Huerter to start and Solomon Hill to come off the bench. If both play, those are your two starters. Karl-Anthony Towns, Ricky Rubio, and Juan Hernangomez are out for the Timberwolves today. With Towns out, that's going to allow Naz Reid or Ed Davis to get the start. We'll see who they go, one or the other. If Reid starts, I think he's a good DFS play. If Davis does, I probably don't want either of them. Ricky Rubio is out. That's going to allow for Anthony Edwards to pick up some more usage and minutes off the bench. Juan Hernangomez is out. That's going to allow Jared Vanderbilt to continue to start for the Timberwolves. Josh Richardson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Dwight Powell, and Maxi Kleber are all out for the Mavericks. That's going to allow Jalen Brunson to start and Trey Burke to get a lot of minutes and usage off the bench. Either Josh Green or Wesley Wundu is going to start for Dorian Finney-Smith. Probably not going to be interested in either of those guys. Dwight Powell and Kleber being out, that's going to allow either Willie Cauley-Stein is going to start or they're going to move Kristaps Porzingis to the 5. We saw him move Porzingis to the 5 last game. We'll see what they do today. Pay attention to that starting lineup. And then James Johnson should pick up some extra minutes. Jimmy Butler and Avery Bradley are out for the Heat, and Tyler Hero is questionable. If Butler's out and Hero's in, that's going to be great for Hero. He's going to pick up some extra usage, as will Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo without Butler on the floor. If Hero were to miss, that's going to be really good for Kendrick Nunn, as he's going to pick up a ton of minutes off the bench. Pascal Siakam is questionable for the Toronto Raptors. If he were to miss this game, I'd expect Norman Powell probably to slide into the starting position, and Norman Powell is probably going to start the 3, and they're going to push OG Anunoby down to the 4. That's what I expect them to do. Not 100% on that one, but we'll pay attention if Siakam is out. Al Horford is out as well. That's going to allow Isaiah Roby to get the start and Lou Dort to pick up some usage. And Michael Porter Jr. is questionable, which is going to, if he is out, Will Barton is going to start. If he plays, Will Barton will not. So, that one's probably not as big, but still pay attention to that for today. Now let's get into the individual plays, and the first game we are going to start talking about is going to be the Charlotte Hornets versus the Chicago Bulls. This game has an implied total of 217.5. It is going to be the fastest-paced game of the day, though, at 105.75, which is nice to see. And Miles Bridges is the first guy I'm interested in on Charlotte. He is $4,500. I gave him 27 minutes today. He's got a usage percentage of 16.2, an assist percentage of 11.3, and a rebound percentage of 10.2. He's going to come off the bench, and he could provide you some pretty nice value on the slate. Devontae Graham is $6,200. I gave him 35 minutes today. He's got a usage of 19.1 and a 27.7 assist percentage. He looks like a pretty solid option in this offense, as does Terry Rozier at $6,700. I gave him 35 minutes. His usage percentage of 23.2 and an assist percentage of 13.7. He looks, all three of those guys grade out pretty well. And then PJ Washington down low against the Bulls front court, who can't really defend anybody, is $6,800. I gave him 33 minutes today. He's got a usage rate of 21.1, an assist rate of 15.8, and a rebound rate of 12.9. PJ Washington's been playing very well for Charlotte recently, and I expect to see that continue. On the other side of this game, the only guy I'm really kind of interested in Chicago is Lauri Markkanen, unless Wendell Carter misses, and then you get one of the backup centers slotting in. So maybe a Thaddeus Young or Daniel Gafford if they get the start. So be paying attention to that. But for now, Lauri Markkanen is going to be the only guy I'm kind of interested in from this Bulls team. He's $6,600. Gave him 30 minutes. He's got a usage rate of 23.3 and a rebound rate of 13.4 in a fast-paced game. I think that's definitely worth something. Next game we're going to talk about is the Detroit Pistons versus the Houston Rockets. This game is the lowest implied total game on this day at 211 because the Pistons suck and the Rockets don't have anybody, so that's going to cause the total to come down. Derrick Rose is going to be the only guy I'm interested in on the Pistons. He is $5,500. I gave him 28 minutes off the bench. He has a usage rate of 29.9 and an assist rate of 38.3. I think he just may be a little bit too cheap if he's actually going to get all those minutes. So Derrick Rose looks like someone I am going to be interested in today. DeMarcus Cousins is going to be super chalky today. I right now only have him for 23 minutes, but I expect that to come up to like 27 or 28, to be honest. He's $4,400. He has a usage rate of 27.2 and an assist rate of 19.4 and a rebound rate of 22.1, and he's over a 1 point per minute producer on the year. And he's going to be playing a ton of minutes at $4,500 against the Pistons. Yeah, I'm going to like DeMarcus Cousins a lot today. That just grades out really well. He looks like a fantastic play. Eric Gordon is going to be interesting because I don't really know what his usage is going to be because, I mean, we know what his usage was without Harden and John Wall before Oladipo came, but we don't know anymore. At $5,700, he really hasn't been seeing the usage with the lineup that's been in, but now there is no Christian Wood. I wouldn't expect too much from Eric Gordon, but he is $5,700, and if he is going to get more like a 28% usage rate today, he's going to be very valuable, and he's going to play a lot of minutes, so he could be an interesting play. But Victor Oladipo is probably the best pay-up option on the day. He's $8,000. I gave him 31 minutes. Now, I mean, in the 2 games he's played, he's had ridiculous usage rates, but there's no one else on his team to score, so it's going to be Victor Oladipo day. I expect him to have a ridiculously high usage rate on his team. Pistons aren't good defensively. I really like Victor Oladipo today. He feels like almost like a lock. The next game we're going to talk about is the Magic and the Pacers. I'm not really too interested in this game. It only has a total of 213, a pace of 103.45. Doug McDermott's interesting if Miles turns out and he gets a start at $5,000. He'll play 28 minutes. And then Cole Anthony is interesting at $5,200. He's going to play 28 minutes as well. Usage rate 24.2 and assist rate 20.2. I don't know. Those are really, I mean, I'm not really that excited to get to anything from this game on an 11-game slate. I don't think it's needed to get to this game, so I probably won't. The next game on the day is probably my favorite game to target because it is the highest total. It is a rematch of Colin Sexton's Cavs versus Kyrie Irving's Nets. This game has a total of 227 right now. This game went to 2 overtimes last game. I don't think that's going to happen this time. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Brooklyn just destroys them, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to obviously be interested in Harden, Durant, and Irving. Always going to be interested in those guys. I gave Harden 40 minutes today. Usage rate of 35.4, assist rate of 15.9. It gave Kevin Durant 38 minutes today, usage rate of 12.4, assist rate of 28. And Kyrie Irving, I gave 33 minutes, usage rate of 30.6, assist rate of 32. Both of them look fine. Joe Harris is way too cheap for the minutes he's playing. I gave him 33 minutes today. He's $5,300. He is just way, way, way too cheap for that in a fast-paced game. And then on the other side of this game, Darius Garland is questionable, but if he were to play, I think I would be interested in him. He is $6,300, which is kind of expensive, but I'm not really too worried about it. I'd expect him to get the minutes, and he has a high usage rate of 22.3 and a high assist rate of 29.5 when he is on the floor. I think that all grades out really fine for him. Isaac Okoro, I'm going to continue to go back to him because he keeps playing these monster minutes. He's $4,100. I give him 29 minutes. Once again, if he can just knock down a few more shots, he's going to be really valuable for us. And in a fast-paced game against a really bad defense in Brooklyn, give me that all the time. So Isaac Okoro looks fine for me. Chetty Osman, $6,500. He's only going to be in play for me if Garland's out. If Garland, well, I don't know. It is a good matchup. Brooklyn's a really bad defensive team, and it's just a great team to target in DFS. I gave him 31 minutes today. He's got a usage rate of 22 and an assist rate of 19.5. And then Colin Sexton absolutely torched Brooklyn last game. I don't hate going back to him. He's $7,300. I gave him 35 minutes. He's got a usage rate of 26.2 and an assist rate of 17.9. Especially if Garland's out. If Garland's out, Sexton feels like a great play, but even without him, that's fine. It's just a fast-paced matchup, fast-paced game, good defensive match, or bad defensive matchup. Well, good defensive matchup, bad defensive team in Brooklyn. So, yeah, Colin Sexton looks really good. I'm fine going back to Joel Embiid here against Boston. I mean, he just torched them last game. Like, Boston, he just can't guard anybody down low. They have no bigs to handle him. This game has an implied total of 216.5. It's going to be a pace of 104.3. Embiid has a usage rate of 29.8, an assist rate of 15.4, and a rebound rate of 19.3. Shake Milton just seems a little bit too cheap for the minutes he's playing. I gave him 29 today. He's $5,400. He has a usage rate of 24.1 and an assist rate of 21.7. And then Jaylen Brown is going to continue to get the usage bump without Jason Tatum on the floor. He's $8,500. I gave him 35 minutes. He's got a usage rate 29.5 and an assist rate 20.1. The next game I'm going to talk about are the Miami Heat versus the Toronto Raptors. This game has an implied total of 224.6. I'm also going to be interested in Goran Dragic. It's not going to just be Duncan Robinson here. Robinson's $5,700. I gave him 35 minutes. He's got a usage rate of 16.6. Just a little bit too cheap for the minutes he's going to be playing. We know the upsides there at the three-point shot. If that starts falling, that's going to be really valuable for us. And then Goran Dragic without Butler is going to have a usage rate of 30%, and that's going to be really good for me as well. OG Anunoby for Toronto is $6,100. I'd expect him. I don't think Siakam's going to play because he didn't practice yesterday, so I just don't think he's going to play. So I'm really going to like OG Anunoby then. I gave him 34 minutes. He's going to be playing to 4 at $6,100. I think that's a very good spot. Norman Powell would be another one I'm really interested in if he were to slot in for Pascal Siakam. I'd expect him to get over 30 minutes at that point. He's $4,300. Usage rate 22 when he's out there. I think he's good. And then Fred VanVleet at $7,800 is just going to play a ton of minutes. Usage rate 23.3, assist rate 28.1. I really like that. Now we're going to go talk about the Atlanta Hawks versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. This game has an implied total of 220. And Minnesota's just going to be a team I continue to want to target from basically everywhere. They're just horrible defensively. They cannot guard anybody, and I don't want to stop going away from that. So Cam Reddish is $4,600. If he were to play, I'd expect 29 minutes from him, usage rate 20. He's way too cheap against a Minnesota team that cannot guard anybody. I am fine with that. Trae Young is $9,600. I mean, he's expensive. You got to pay for him, but again, Minnesota defensively is terrible. He has a usage rate of 31.9 and an assist rate of 44.3, and I gave him 32 minutes. Clint Capella had a monster game 2 nights ago, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he does it again. He's still fine for me at $8,300. Yeah, his price jumped like $600, $700, but he still is going to play 32 minutes. He's got a rebound rate of 23.3 and a usage rate of 18.3, which is good for a center. A center, outside like Towns and Embiid, Jokic. So Clint Capella at $8,300, I think is still fine for me. And I mean, he's going to get to go up against Nazarene at Davis Day. And I don't even remember who they played the other night, but I mean, he just destroyed them, and I just wouldn't be surprised to see that happen again. So Clint Capella seems fine. Anthony Edwards is $4,600. He's the only guy on the Wolves I'm going to be interested in. I gave him 27 minutes off the bench. He has a usage rate of 25.8, an assist rate of 11.9, and a rebound rate of 6.5. He's still too cheap for the upside he presents us with, and if we can get an explosion game against a Hawks team that really isn't good defensively, I think that would be really good for us today. So I'm definitely interested in Anthony Edwards. Now we're going to go talk about the Dallas Mavericks versus the San Antonio Spurs. This game has a total of 222.5, solid total game, pace of 103.5, and Luka Doncic, he's Luka. He's 37 minutes today. That's weird. Why did it just do that? Okay, nice job, laptop. Anyway, Luka Doncic is $10,900. Gave him 37 minutes. He's got a usage rate of 36.3, an assist rate of 52.2, and a rebound rate of 15.3. That's just going to grade out really well for me here. I mean, it's Luka. I never have a problem going to Luka. If you want to go to Luka, go to Luka. He's great. He's just a great player, a great talent. So Luka is fine. Jalen Brunson's $4,700. Gave him 27 minutes. He has a usage rate of 24.7 and an assist rate of 27.9 when he's out there. Still a little too cheap. He's going to be playing a ton of minutes starting. And he's just not I think people look at Jalen Brunson and they don't think he's a high usage guy, but he actually has been a pretty high usage player for his team. So I am fine going there. Tim Hardaway Jr. is too cheap at $5,500 for the minutes and role he has in his team. Now, look, Tim Hardaway Jr. is if he has these games where he's just cold and he is bad, and you just got to worry about that. But he's still going to play 30 minutes. He's got a usage rate 23.1. If he's hitting his shots, he's going to be fine. On the other side of this game, we got LaMarcus Aldridge, who's $5,500. I gave him 31 minutes today. He's just way too cheap. He has been struggling this year. It's finally the decline of LaMarcus Aldridge is here, but still, he gives us 31 minutes. He has a usage rate of 24.1. I think he's fine. And then Lonnie Walker, $4,300. I think he's going to get a little more than the 25 I have him right now, probably more like 28 minutes. And that's going to be pretty good for that salary against the Dallas team. That isn't great defensively. 19.8 usage rate when he's out there. Next game we're going to talk about is the OKC Thunder versus the LA Clippers. This game has an implied total of 220, but the Thunder have the lowest team total on the slate. Right now, the Clippers are 13-point favorites, so this is a game that is going to probably be a blowout. I don't think this is going to be a game I'm targeting too much. But Darius Bazley is $4,900. Gave him 30 minutes today. He's got a usage rate of 19.4 and a rebound rate of 12.5. He grades out some decent value. As is George Hill at $4,200. I gave him 26 minutes today. A usage rate of 16.8 and an assist rate of 19.9. But for whatever reason, George Hill always finds a way to get chalky, so I never play him. So if George Hill ends up chalky again tonight, I'm not going to play him. Paul George is the one guy on the Clippers that does look good for me. He is $9,300. I gave him 37 minutes today with a usage rate of 28.1, assist rate 23.5, and rebound rate 10.4. He's just a little bit too cheap for me. And when Clippers are expected to score a lot of points, see, this is the thing. Like, everyone's always worried about the blowout. But if Paul George, if there's a blowout, the Clippers blow out the Thunder, like, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard more than likely had a really good game. Now, he may not give you a tournament-winning lineup, but they're going to give you enough to more than likely cash unless someone else around them goes nuclear today. So, which is possible, but they're not going to hurt you. So I don't hate it at all. I'm definitely probably going to get some exposure to Paul George tonight. Kawhi Leonard not as much. I think he's a little bit too expensive, but Paul George for sure. Now the Denver Nuggets, Phoenix Suns. I'm really only going to be interested in the Phoenix Suns side of things here today. This game is a total of 219. It's going to be the slowest paced game of the day, though. Phoenix plays at a crawling pace this year, and I just don't like playing players against them. But I do like the Suns against the Nuggets here at $5,500. Mikal Bridges grades out pretty well for me. I gave him 34 minutes today. He's just going to play a ton of minutes at a cheap price in a matchup that, really the Nuggets haven't been great defensively this year at all. And then Cam Johnson's $4,400 if you want to go back there. Like, everyone played him when he was 39. I don't know if I really want to get there as much, but he's going to play a lot of minutes, and he's relatively cheap. So he is fine for me. And then we got the last game we're going to talk about is the Sacramento Kings versus the New York Knicks, where we got an implied total of 219. Knicks are on a back-to-back tonight, but I'm not too worried about it because they just blew out the Warriors last night. Harrison Barnes is $5,800. I gave him 36 minutes today. It's just too cheap for the amount of minutes he is going to play. And then R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson look like pretty good options. Barrett, $6,800 coming off a career high last night. Gave him 31 minutes today. He's got a usage rate of 23.6 and an assist rate of 14.9. Julius Randle's $9,100. I gave him 36 minutes. He's got a high usage rate of 27.7, a high assist rate of 29.2, and a high rebound rate of 15.5. That looks really good. And then Mitchell Robinson is $5,900. Gave him 32 minutes. He's got a high rebound rate of 14.4. If he plays those minutes, $5,900, he could smash. So I think that's really all I got to say on this slate. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe on this video. Leave a comment who you think the best play of the day is. I'm going with those Rockets players, Oladipo, Cousins. Those are the two best plays on the day for me. But hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Let's make some money tonight, and have a great Friday night.